Do you guys love the Electro & Co. RTR just like I do? Well, this is your chance to win one for free. You gotta go join our new giveaway. Head on over to tbelectricmoto.com to enter, or click the link down in the video description to take you straight there, because you guys have a chance to win a brand new RTR and $500 cash for you to do whatever you want with. Go get entered. Guys, I need to apologize because what I'm about to show you is going to make you want to spend a whole lot of money. So far, the 2025 Ultra Bee has really proven to be a huge upgrade over the 2024 model. We have about 300 miles on this bike right here. We've only done a couple modifications. The biggest mod that we have done was a Warp 9 21-inch front wheel. I think this is the biggest difference that you can do to this bike as far as handling and comfort goes. We stole this off our other bike, that's why it's orange. We don't really care, it makes the bike ride better. I also slid the forks down in the triple clamps just a little bit to raise the front end up. Another mod that we did was this Warp 9 direct mount stem that has vibration dampening built into it. That makes our handlebars taller and smoother. And then the last modification that we did was these Charge Cycle Works foot peg lower brackets. Now these drop the foot pegs the distance from here to here. They also stick out a little bit, widen up the foot pegs. So far I've got one full battery drain ride on these and I love them. So up until this moment, we've had 3 mods that total about $800 done to this bike. And I think those 3 mods make an absolute huge difference to the handling, the comfort, the ride quality. But now it's power time, baby. For those of you who don't know what this is called a controller. The controller is basically the brains of your bike. And oftentimes upgrading it can allow you to achieve more power, faster top speed, and a lot more customization within different settings. This particular controller is called the EBMX X9000. We'll have a link down in the video description and a discount code if you guys are interested in purchasing one. It's compatible with a ton of different models of bikes. What you get in the box is the display, the thumb regen brake, the Bluetooth dongle, and the 2-in-1 cable that connects everything together. Then you select whichever bike you have and you'll get the specific install kit to actually plug the controller into your bike and actually mount it with brackets. So this is the Surron Ultra Bee specific kit. Now we need to install this controller and we are expecting some absolutely massive power gains and torque gains. But first, we gotta go test this bike, see how fast it goes top speed wise with a GPS, and do some acceleration tests. We're gonna use a draggy GPS to actually record how fast we can do 0 to 30, 1,000 foot, 0 to 60 if it can get to 60, and then we'll compare those times after I put the new controller on, and obviously we'll talk about how it feels better and the tuning and customizations that you can do with it. Let's do this. Really quick, I want to make one thing clear. This 2025 Ultra Bee is the HP model, which means it has the 21 kilowatt with the boost button, as a larger 60 amp hour battery, as opposed to the other 2025 Ultra Bee, which is 18 kilowatts, no boost button, and a smaller 55 amp hour battery. Now, this bike is gonna get different power gains from adding a controller than the 18 kilowatt model is going to get. Sadly, it's not as much power as this bike can achieve, but later on, we're gonna put in both of EBMX's recommended settings for this model and the other 2025 Ultra Bee, so you guys can see the difference between the 2 different batteries and what your bike will be capable of. All right, guys, here we go. So, we're gonna do this first one with no turbo button. So we're just gonna do sport mode, see how fast it is. Then I'm gonna try with the turbo button, and we're doing an acceleration test and a top speed run at the same time. So whatever top speed we achieve during this test, that'll be it. 3, 2, 1, go. Says 55, there's 60 on the display, 57 on the GPS, 56. That was draggy acceleration run number 1. Our top speed that we achieved on this GPS is 56.7 miles per hour on the Ultra Bee display, we were seeing a little over 60 miles an hour, so they're not quite accurate to each other. Now I'm going to use the turbo button. I'm going to activate it right when we start, and we're just going to see what happens, see if we can accelerate any faster. Okay, test number 2, here we go, back the other direction. We are on a flat road, as you can see, because the Draggy is verifying our runs. I'm going to floor it and then hit my turbo button. Ready, set, go. Okay, that was turbo. We hit 57.7 miles an hour on that run, so we did go just a little bit faster, about 1 mile an hour. We were showing 61 on the display. All right, guys, let's recap what we got. For top speed, we have our 2 GPS screenshots here. We got run number 1 and run number 2. As you can see, run number 2 was slightly faster. We were just going each direction on a flat stretch of road, and the second run, we did use the turbo button, so that kind of makes sense that it's just a little bit faster than the first run. Now, let's look at our acceleration test. You guys can see that run number 1 is not as fast as run number 2. We'll put both specs right next to each other here, and you can see that the acceleration is quite a bit faster. I know the numbers don't look that different, but when you line up 2 bikes side by side, there is a difference within these numbers. That would be a bike that is not right next to another bike if you were doing a drag race. Those time differences are a bigger difference than they look on paper. Okay, let's go install our controller and see how fast we can get. I'm not gonna be showing you guys how to install this controller in this video, but if you want to know how after you purchase one, check the link down in the video description to head on over to our other YouTube channel called TB Electric, where it's entirely how-to videos for e-motos just like this one. All right, guys, here we are with the new controller installed out at our testing facilities. Let's check it out. So there is the EBMX X9000 version 3. Now, reminder, if you guys want to see the installation, go to our other channel, TB Electric, link down in the video description for a full walkthrough guide. Now, this was super slick to install, and it just uses the full OEM display and buttons and everything. So let me walk you through that. I just turned the bike on and it just looks completely normal. Now, the kickstand sensor works. You can turn that on and off in the EBMX app, and then you still use the ready button to actually activate it. So if I hold ready, it's gonna say ready right there and be ready to go. The kill switch works. If I hit this, the ready will turn off and it will no longer drive. And then your mode selectors still work. So you've got Eco, Daily, and Sport, and those just equate to the EBMX mode 1, 2, and 3 in the EBMX app. Now, you do have to go into the EBMX app to actually change between street and race mode, but it's super quick to do within there. You still have reverse. If you hit the R button on here, it will actually show up as an R on here if I had the kickstand up, and then it will go into reverse, hit it again, and you'll be going forwards again. You can also use the ASR traction control button to actually turn on your wheel lift assist. Once this has been set up and programmed in the app first, then that feature will work. Still got your headlights, everything just works flawlessly. And I didn't just install this controller last night, that was 2 nights ago. Yesterday, I took it on a 30-mile trailer ride, and I absolutely love the way that this controller makes the Ultra Bee feel. It is a major difference as far as power, torque, and top speed goes. So I'm really interested to now see some exact specific numbers with our testing. So let's go test it. All right, guys, here we go. Run number 1, going in the pocket. I'm gonna do my best to launch this, but it's got a lot of torque. Holy crap, you guys, that is all I gotta say. I just hit 74 miles an hour on this bike. We went from 57 to 74. That is absolutely unreal that this controller made that big of a top speed difference, let alone the torque. The torque is absolutely insane compared to stock and the acceleration. So you guys will see the draggy times and the top speed on the first run that I just did. We'll put those up on screen right here. You guys can see that those times are drastically faster than the stock bike was in acceleration, and obviously the top speed is just out of this world fast. And that's also with a 21-inch front wheel, which weighs the bike down. It's more rolling weight, and I do have a stock rear tire, stock gearing and everything, and I weigh about 200 pounds. Now, doing this testing, I achieved those numbers that we just saw with 45% field weakening. I'll put my settings up right here that we were running to achieve that. That is higher than EBMX originally recommended to me, but we've been out testing. I've been talking to them and just kind of verifying and testing a few things, and we basically decided that depending on your gearing, your weight, what kind of tire you have, things like that, other mods that you have, you may be able to run 45% field weakening like I am, or you may need to run a little bit less. So they originally recommended 20% field weakening, and this is basically the biggest contributor to the top speed that you're going to achieve. And so I tested the bike at 20% field weakening, and I got a top speed of 68 miles an hour also on the GPS. So about 6 mile an hour difference between 45% and 20%. But you guys might need to run somewhere in between those two numbers, but you also very well might just be able to run 45% just like I can. I've done probably 6 or 7 runs back to back on this road, getting up into the 70 mile an hour, and it just feels perfect. I'm not getting any BMS battery tripping, like nothing is going wrong. And so I don't see why you guys wouldn't be able to do it too, but there are differences between different batteries, even though they're the same model. I mean, different motors, like things can just be ever so slightly different at times. So with that, guys, I am so stoked on the controller on this bike, the use of the stock features, the display, the app. Like, EBMX really knocked it out of the park on this one, and I'm so stoked that the Ultra Bee stock battery allows you to run this much power, because it just transformed this bike. I thought it was fast to begin with, but now it's just way faster. It's not even a close comparison. Now, the one last thing that I'm going to do before we take this bike out on a trail ride and show you guys those clips that I filmed yesterday is we're gonna put in the settings for the 18 kilowatt version of the 2025 Ultra Bee to see what kind of numbers you can achieve if you were to install this controller on that model and not the 21 kilowatt HP model like I have here. I really hope we can still see some better numbers than the stock bike has, but sometimes these batteries just don't play ball. Definitely not as much top speed or mid-range. Well guys, sadly that's kind of what I expected and not what we were hoping for. We got 60.8 miles an hour top speed, which is 4 or 5 miles an hour faster than the stock bike. So that is a good increase in top speed in my opinion, but all of our acceleration numbers just weren't any better, and in some situations they were slightly worse. And this is comparing to the turbo button times basically on the stock controller. We'll put them both up on screen here, and also put the settings that I ran that EBMX recommends for that battery. So sadly wasn't quite what we were hoping. It's really not anywhere near to as fast or as powerful as the 60 amp hour HP model. So if you guys are wanting to buy a 2025 Ultra Bee, don't skip on that HP model with the bigger battery, because if you ever want to install a controller, it will be well worth it, I can tell you that. I just want to give you guys a little bit more info if you're going to be buying this controller and putting it on this bike, and that is 2 things. You will not be using the stock EBMX display or regen thumb brake. They have just designed this bike to work completely with all the OEM functions, so these will just be extra, and if you ever move it to another bike, then you can use these. That being said, EBMX is also baking in some new functionality coming super soon that hasn't been released yet, and that is adding regen braking to the brake levers, just like the stock Ultra Bee has. You'll be able to configure that within the EBMX app. And then the other thing is that just like the stock controller, you will also be able to configure your charging speeds. If you want to charge this bike slower or faster or anywhere in between, you will also be able to configure that on the EBMX app super soon. So both those two features are coming in the near future. And then one other thing about the thumb regen brake. I know a lot of you guys like these. They have not included the wiring to make it work with the stock battery. It just doesn't really have the ability to use a lot of regen for a regen brake. But if you ever were to upgrade your battery to a more powerful upgraded battery, you do still have the option to use this if you purchase the EBMX Ultra Bee race harness, which is a lower profile wire harness that adds back in the functionality of these two devices. So you do still have that option in the future if you want to go full bore and do a fully modded out Ultra Bee.
All right, guys, we are out on the X9000 Ultra Bee, riding my favorite thing, Rocky, Utah single track. Look at the views. Oh yeah, this trail's cool. Look at this, I've never ridden this. All right, guys, I want to start by talking about the things about the tune and the throttle and the power on the stock bike that I didn't like. And we can see if this X9000 has improved on those things. So, one of the biggest things for me was that eco mode just had no torque when it was stock. Just no torque. You couldn't pop the front wheel up. Even if you were like if I were to stop on this hill right now, it wouldn't have enough power to get me going again. That's how little torque it had. And so eco mode for me was pretty much useless even when you wanted a nice smooth throttle feeling. It just wasn't enough power ever. Even though it could get you up to 25 miles an hour on flat, the acceleration was just terrible. So already with the X9000, I have eco mode set to where it's a nice smooth low amount of power, but I have the phase amps turned up, and so I can have nice torque. Like I can pop it up into a wheelie right here, even though I'm only running probably about as much power as it was before. So that's awesome. All right, so eco mode is fixed. We got that figured out. We got it dialed in already, even though I just got on it. I'm so used to setting up these controllers that I can just guess on the settings and pretty much get them feeling great right when I install it. But you guys will have to do a little bit of playing around. I think I'm set to 10 kilowatts, 500 phase amps in eco right now. And I might turn up the torque just a little bit more, but so far we're feeling great. So, okay, that's one complaint fixed with the X9000. The other complaint was that in daily and sport, the mid-range power just wasn't really there. It kind of felt like it was all on the bottom end, and then you could obviously get, you know, to 57 miles an hour like we tested, but you just never got very much mid-range throttle power, and especially no mid-range torque. But now that's definitely changed. I did ride this out on the street last night a bit, just making sure it was all good before I came out on this road after it was dark. And the mid-range power is way better. Dang, guys, look at this! Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo. Oh, this is my favorite kind of riding. Cool fall temps, beautiful colors. Sheesh. Riding with your buddies. Oh yeah, we got way more torque on this bike.
Dude.
You guys made it.
That might have been the most fun I've ever had on this.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Nice.
So far, this bike is feeling excellent. I really like the EBMX motor tune a lot more than I did on the 2024. I think it's just partially because this battery just has more power to give, and so the throttle curve, I don't know, just feels way more like it should. Like it ramps up, it just continues ramping up. It's not all at the bottom. Yeah, baby. I'm really loving this 2025 Ultra. I think it might be the bike that I would buy. If this is the amount of money I had to spend, I think I'd buy a 2025 Ultra, and then I would keep saving up for a 21-inch front wheel like I'm running. Ow! Hit my hand on the tree. And then the EBMX controller. But this bike just feels great for the kind of riding I like to do. Suspension feels good, brakes are fantastic, the frame is great, the bike is fairly light, battery's big. I really like the Ultra. I think we're almost to the top. Yeah, sunshine. All right guys, let's bomb down this trail. We gotta catch up to my buddies. I stayed at the top filming. Oh, this trail is fun. I've been down this one time and I just remember it being just an absolute blast. Yeah! Oh, I love single track. Oh, this is so beautiful. Oh, I yelled that loud enough for those hikers to hear. That's a little embarrassing.
Thank you guys so much for watching this video and making it to the end. If you're interested in purchasing one of these controllers, you can use discount code TalariaBoys and click the link down in the video description to head on over to tbelectricmoto.com. We have them in stock right now, ready to ship, ready for you guys to get out and abuse. Thank you guys again for watching. We'll catch you next video. See ya.